Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas and this is Investing Against the Grain. In today's episode, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the video uploads from a lot of the beta testers for Tesla full self-driving. What we're going to be looking at today is beta version 9.1. Okay, this was released around midnight on Friday, and so over the weekend there were several videos uploaded, and I wanted to go ahead and try to consolidate a lot of those videos into the key moments that, the key takeaways and the still kind of pain points when it comes to FSD. Now, keep in mind, I spent, many hours going over this and trying to deduce everything down into, more so the edge cases, the things that still need to be evolved and worked on. So when we're going through this, don't take it as a holistic picture. The majority of what we saw with FSD 9.1 was very few disengagements. Okay, there are a lot of videos out there of zero disengagements with city streets. So, on the whole, this was a very good release. It was very hard to pinpoint what the exact changes were, but as you'll see, there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of, edge cases to solve. But we'll get into that more in a little bit. I did want to release this video over the weekend, but I waited and waited. I wanted to see if Kim Parquette would release any videos. She's up in Rhode Island, I believe, and she had a lot of amazing edge cases with Beta 9. And then obviously Gali, if you guys follow Hyperchains at all, he's over in Italy right now for a wedding. So unfortunately we didn't get to see the Seattle and the monorail and all those things, and see if it, if 9.1 kind of skewed to fix any of the issues that he was seeing. But again, let's go ahead and get into it. This is 9.1 beta review. If you like this type of content, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We spent a lot of time on this so that you don't have to sit there and watch 6 to 8 hours of videos, and you can just kind of see all of the highlights in a very condensed view. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, I've got a left turn program here. Let's see what happens. It's creeping forward, it says. It's got some traffic to deal with. A little bit of a steering wheel, checking for visibility sign. It's not far enough forward here. I'm not sure where it's going. It doesn't say press accelerator or stalk here. It's just trying to look. Let's see here. What's it gonna do? I'm not sure what it's waiting on. Maybe it's waiting on no cars to creep further forward. It's definitely at the stop line. I don't feel like it's trying anything right now. It's definitely at the yellow line, kind of pointing a little bit left, but not too much so. I don't know how long it's going to stay here. You can definitely kind of see the angle there on the screen. I guess in a few more seconds I'll just tap the accelerator or something. Not exactly sure. There's nobody behind me, so I'm not in a rush. Wheel's definitely moving a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna tap the accelerator a little bit and see what happens. I'm sorry, I tapped the brake. That one might not be a good test because I tapped the brake because my foot was right on the brake. I re-engaged it here at the line. Looks like it's trying it again. Okay, it cannot go. It did stop, and there's a nice large gap behind these two cars. See if it goes. Very hesitant here. Boy, 2 miles an hour. Hey, and it decided to go right. Okay. It was wide open. It could have gone left. I'm not sure why it chose to go right there. So we're in a little bit of a loop. I'm gonna go ahead and let it do one loop this time. We've got previous videos of it entering a loop. So this is a behavior that happened on 9.0.
Okay, so in this video, this is, I believe his name's Eric Cook. He gets stuck on a unprotected left-hand turn, and what you're gonna see is it starts to never actually attempt the unprotected left-hand turn. It won't cross that medium. So it looks like it's about 2 lanes, median 2 lane, it might be 3 lanes, but it won't go over. So instead, it just keeps taking a right-hand turn and going. You'll see that in the GPS, he actually has it mapped to go and take that left, but for some reason, FSD 9.1 just won't take it. This is something that Cook has tried to test over and over. He tried it with just 9.0, and with 9.0, it actually would do it, and it worked more or less. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it would do it. But with 9.1, it's like it won't even attempt it anymore. So this is definitely one of the interesting findings with this new release, is that it's almost like they set the bias a little too much in the incorrect direction with regards to neural net. But it also makes you wonder if they're just testing different neural nets with each release rather than just putting it all out there as the same stack. I'd be really curious if, during AI Day, they talk to us a little bit about what goes into the release for each one of these iterations. But let's continue to look and see how it goes for the rest of this drive.
All right, got a few pedestrians it needs to go around or wait on to turn right. Looks like they crossed the street. That was a good interaction there.
So that was pretty good to see that the FSD 9.1, waited until the pedestrians crossed the street. So, what you'll see, even though some of the driving tends to, again, the whole point of this is to show you the bad, right? There's so much good throughout FSD 9.1. You can watch all those videos, 0 interactions, but honestly, those are kind of a waste of time. What we want to see is like, where are we at? What are the limiting factors still? But in all of these remaining limiting factors, at no point did any of them have anything to do with, oh, there's a pedestrian, or oh, I almost hit someone, or anything of that nature. So I think that's very, very promising.
Okay, coming up at our intersection, we got a left turn on navigation here, stopping for traffic control. Now it's creeping, checking for visibility. And I'm clear to the left, but it's going to the right. Okay. All right, it's going to the right. Okay, so now it's done that twice. And I think I learned last time that sometimes it gets itself in a loop and I need to cancel navigation and then reinitiate it. So as soon as it does this loop here, I'm gonna go ahead, on this next right turn, I'll let it do that automatically. Not bad there. Okay, and I'm gonna cancel navigation, reinitiate it.
Okay, so he's gonna try to reinitiate with resetting the navigation. We'll see how that works, but after this, we'll move on. But I just want to show you that this wasn't a one-time thing. This keeps happening over and over with this release of 9.1. Again, there's very limited videos out there right now, and I still want to see some of the people driving in more difficult environments, but this is a fairly easy scenario that FSD 9.1 really shouldn't be challenged with. And it wasn't for 9.0 really. I mean, it wasn't so smooth, and sometimes the acceleration was a little lagging, but it was actually doing the unprotected left-hand turn. So, to quote Elon, sometimes it's 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. In the big scheme of things, if you keep doing that, eventually you're moving forward. So let's go ahead and see how this next attempt goes.
Do have a car here that needs to wait on me. That car may create a scenario where I can't wait too long here at this intersection. Left blinker. That car's right on my rear end now. All right, I'm having to tap the accelerator for the car behind me. I tapped it a little bit, it needs to stop, and it's going right again. Okay. tapping the accelerator again. All right, I had to bail out of that one because of the car behind me, and it's indecision there. Okay, I haven't gotten it to try a left turn yet, so I'm gonna cancel that again and go around the block, and I'm going to reinitiate it with just the straightaway instead of the turn to the right.
Okay, so let's take a look at one more. Again, you can see here that the direction was to go to the left, and the left blinker did come on, but for some reason, the Tesla still wanted to go to the right. So, you know, let's go ahead and watch one more and see what happens.
Here we are, straight ahead, left turn programmed. It's got a little bit of a vector to go left here. Okay, it's going right again. All right, I'm gonna let this one go. It can go. I'm just gonna see where it goes. Okay, let's see. Oh, something new here. Left lane, center lane, kind of dangerous there. And then it's gonna fight itself back to the right. And we're living Groundhog Day again. Okay, let me try to think of something else I can try to get this thing to try to take a left turn.
Okay, so that'll be the last one we watch as far as this unprotected left-hand turn. We'll move on to another one, but as you can tell here, not only was the map saying to go cross the median, do the unprotected left, you had the blinker on, and the actual vector was skewing to the left, but still brought him to the right. So I don't think this is something that's going to be too difficult for Tesla to correct. I think this is actually going to be something that's fairly simple for them to correct. But let's see what else we have in store for us with 9.1 release.
I'm going to make a little forward-facing unprotected left video here. The traffic is coming from the front, forward-facing view. It should be relatively easy to see the traffic as we go here for this unprotected left with forward-facing traffic and how it handles it. Okay, boy, it feels like I'm across the line. I'm probably close. Okay, it needs to stop there. I'm in the lane now, and there was 2 lanes of traffic coming.
So in looking at this video, keep in mind that in the bottom left-hand side, there's a very nice drone footage. So you can see where he actually is in relation to the line. Now, this video, we were doing an unprotected left, going across, what's it, 3 and 3. So essentially 3 lanes, a median, then another 3 lanes. This time, it's going down, getting onto median, and again, an unprotected left-hand turn onto the street. So let's just see how this goes. It's still an unprotected left-hand turn, but it's a different scenario. So let's finish this, but keep an eye on the drone video as well, because it gives you good perspective as far as where cars are coming up and where the Tesla is in relation to the actual street.
I'm not sure why it decided to jump there. It's a little too far to get into the lane. The left lane happened to be open, so I was actually able to stay where I was without proceeding or reversing. But that first scenario isn't what we're looking for, where it crosses that yellow line to wait. Here we go again. I'm going to go ahead and re-engage now. Got some forward-facing traffic approaching, and slowing into the turn lane is another important thing to watch here. You know, I'm down to 23 and I'm still in the highway lane there. So in my opinion, it needs to get in this turn lane a little bit earlier before it starts the deceleration like that. But I'm in a good spot here. My wheel is turned. You can see quite a bit, which it shouldn't be. I know a lot of folks have an opinion on these wheels being turned, so it's still having the wheel turned. But right now, at least, okay, it's starting to creep forward. I can see a large gap coming, but it'll have to use the accelerator if it goes for this one. It's gonna have to stop. Okay, all right. I had to intervene there. It was going for it before that red car passed. It could have made it before that red car if it had started sooner and used the accelerator a little bit more.
Okay, so here again we can see that it's taking the left-hand turn, but it seems like there's a disconnect or a misunderstanding of the oncoming traffic's velocity and the Tesla's need to increase its acceleration in order to prevent that velocity from having a direct impact with the Tesla. So it seems like this is more of a physics understanding of velocity versus acceleration and that timing, right? Time is, the big variable when it comes to velocity and acceleration. So again, that's something I think that can be dialed in pretty easily by Tesla. Lots of examples of that, but it's that lag from the Tesla. Watch, we'll see this again. It's just that lag. There's a lot of open windows, and I don't know. What's a good question is it a lack of understanding of the rate that the vehicle is coming and the amount of acceleration the Tesla needs to have to overcome that rate, right, in order to cross the street before that velocity hits them? Or is it a lack of confidence in what the Tesla can see? That's very interesting to think about. Again, I wonder if Elon and Andre and team will discuss more of this during AI Day.
All right, here we go again. So it's accelerating all the way up to 35 here. I'm not giving it a full acceleration. It's decelerating, still in the lane. And in the 20s before it was completely in the turn lane here. All right, and here's the steering wheel turning for the creep. It's maintaining a nice forward view, which should be able to see it. There are a few trees up there. Okay, that's good. That was a good acceleration. Nice. The gap was very large, but it did it. That's exactly what we want. And it didn't hesitate in the middle of the road that time.
So it didn't, but I would argue that's not exactly the test we want to see. We want to see it more so when there is traffic coming and we have to fundamentally deal with these, general physics problems, right? Understanding that fourth dimension of time and how you have to react in order to prevent any catastrophic results. So let's see if we have a better example.
Okay, here we go again. It can roll this one if it wants to keep going. It needs to keep going. All right, it did a good job.
Again, that's the same thing as the last one. I wouldn't consider that a good test. So let's keep rolling and see what other ones we have.
Okay, I had to wait a little bit for some oncoming traffic here. All right, and it stopped there. Nice big gap here. It should go for it. Let's see how the acceleration goes. 9, 10, 13. Okay, not bad. It accelerated continuously without pausing in the street that time.
I know what I'm looking for. I'm being a little picky now, but I really want to see the vehicle with that timing. So let's keep watching. I'm pretty sure that we'll get a good one here.
Okay, I had to engage that one because of a vehicle approaching from the rear, but just to show you, a nice smooth, didn't even hesitate one bit without any oncoming traffic. It didn't even stop to take a look. It was a constant smooth roll all the way through the turn. Okay,
that's fair enough. That is good to see that the Tesla won't just stop because it's on the median, right? It could see far enough, could tell there's no vehicles coming, so it just rolled on through, which is what a human would do. So that is positive. And that also kind of tells us that the Tesla can see pretty far out. So perhaps it is not a vision issue, right? It's not a matter of, can I see so far out to make sure there's no vehicles coming, which would mean that it's not a lack of confidence with the traffic coming. It could still be a lack of confidence, but not with regards to, can I see what's out there or not?
All right, here we go again. Looks like we got quite a bit more traffic. The light must have just turned down the street. It's about 5 blocks to the street light. Still in the lane down about 18 miles an hour there. All right, it's stopping way back here now when it sees a lot of traffic. That's good.
Okay, so we're gonna see a good example here, I believe. There's a lot of traffic is what I'm looking at if you look at this drone view. So we should be able to get exactly what we're looking for as far as a test and see how the Tesla reacts with the whole idea of the velocity, my acceleration to avoid a impact.
This is where it ought to be. And the steering wheel in this situation is straight, as also indicated by the wheel there. Now it's starting to turn the wheel. It's not giving me a creeping indication here, it's just doing it. Got a very large gap here. I'm not gonna need to worry about this one at all if it takes it. It's gonna need to go though. All right, now it's too late. Okay, so that is debatable if it had the acceleration, whether or not it could have made it. That car had turned down the street and was coming in, so that one was borderline.
Yeah, I think that one was definitely debatable. It might have made it, but I can understand that the hesitancy there, right? I mean, the Tesla has the ability to, gun it. And it's not like we need to floor it, but, get some oomph behind it and let's accelerate a little bit. And you'll see later in the video, it's got nothing to do with whether you're in Mad Max or chill, right? The mode has no difference when it comes to FSD beta testers. So again, I'm not really sure what would be causing this lag time. I really do think it has something to do with the decision making and understanding the rate that the oncoming traffic is driving at. So let's see if we can get a better example.
All right, here we go again. Steering wheel straight, stopping in a good spot. It's got a good path. I can hear the brake kind of flickering down at my feet. My foot is not on the brake, but I can hear it adjusting. No signal about creeping. It's just sitting here waiting. Got a large gap coming, and it's starting to accelerate for the gap. It stopped. Okay, now it's got a very tight gap. It needs to wait here. And it did. That car braked a little bit. I'm in a good spot. I'm just waiting on it to give the commit acceleration here. All right, there's a very small gap coming. It needs to go for it if it does. All right, now it's too late. Okay, that was not right.
Okay, so we won't keep watching these. I obviously think as a human, there are probably 3 or 4 gaps there that I would have taken in order to cross the street. This is something, edge case, left hand unprotected turns that Tesla needs to definitely work on and refine. The funny thing is that I think 9.0 was working better with these unprotected left-hand turns than 9.1 is. So obviously, it's one of those things where I touch something here and it causes a whole ripple effect, and you don't know what the results are. Or maybe I skew something in this way, and really I should have skewed it the other way. So we'll see more of this. I think that with each iteration, this is just going to get better. I would bet you that by 9.2, we don't have these issues anymore. But let's see what else we have as far as edge cases and different scenarios and struggles that people had with 9.1 release.
Sunday, I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of a out and back drive, Costco run basically. It's going to be uncut, so if you don't like long straight and narrows where okay, I've got this unprotected left and here I am, it looks like it's going to go right again. I'm going to disengage if it does that, just because I need to go left here. I'm leaning way forward to get a view here. I've got a good gap here. It should go for it. Yep, it's open. It should go for it. See what it does. Please go straight. Okay, I needed to go left here. It looks like it was going right. Not sure why. We've got previous videos on that if you're interested to know why it's doing that there at that unprotected left. It was wide open, and it was actually the position it could see when it decided to continue to go right there.
Okay, so in this video, Cook is going for just a general drive. I think he's going to Sam's Club maybe. But we can see he's leaving his house, and that same unprotected left-hand turn still wants to go to the right, even though the vector was pointing to the left, the navigation is saying left, blinker was on, right? All indications showed, hey, go to the left, but it still didn't. So, again, this just reinforces what we were just watching, right? So I think we've beat this to death with the left-hand turns, unprotected left-hand turns. That needs to be worked on. So the reason I clipped this in here is because I thought it would be beneficial for especially people who haven't really seen a lot of the new user interface when it comes to FSD. With FSD Beta 9 and all the iterations to come, what you see here, this is not just a matter of taking video footage and displaying it on a screen, right? That would be easy. What we're seeing here is what the neural net sees, right? So the neural net gets all of these 8 cameras inputting videos into it, and then it stitches the world as it sees it around it. So you could think of it as your brain, and if you close your eyes and if you try to sketch the world around you, how accurate could you be? And that's what we're seeing here, right? So this is the mind of the neural net and what it sees and what it perceives as real and not real. And hey, here's a car, there's a tree, there's a trash can, there's a safety cone, there's a traffic light. This is one's green, that one's red, right? So that's what we see here. So I thought, this could be a good way for you to kind of see a more or less 360 view of what the neural nets are seeing themselves.
Somebody asked me the other day if FSD City Streets uses the brake or regen. I'd never really focused on it before, but those of you that are curious, up here, in this little bar, when it goes green, that's regen braking, and I think you'll see it here. We got a stoplight coming up ahead. I'm sure it'll brake a little bit. You'll see the regen kicking in. Oh, we went green. And the other thing, I'll just clarify because it's generated a lot of questions. This chill mode down here, I prefer to drive in chill mode just for my own smoothness and a little bit of battery conservation. I don't do many launches or things like that, so that's my preferred setting. But I've talked a lot about my unobstructed left-hand turns having like an acceleration problem. My chill mode setting, Tesla has told me, the early access team has responded to my question saying that the chill mode does not impact the acceleration available to FSD. This is purely a user setting to moderate my input into the accelerator. So that is not a factor in the way FSD behaves.
So I thought this was a really cool clip because we learned a lot actually, that, for these beta testers, this may be just second nature stuff that they already know because they're one of these beta testers. But for us, people who are viewing this thing from an outside perspective, we just learned a lot. One, that the Teslas aren't using the brakes, they're using the regen. So that's pretty awesome, right? Especially for conserving battery power. Second thing we learned is that whether you're in chill mode, Mad Max mode, it doesn't matter. The FSD is going to do what it's going to do. That's irrelevant. The only reason FSD, or the only reason Mad Max or chill mode or any other mode has an effect on the car is from an input perspective from a end user. So, if you have a certain style of driving you want to do, right, that's when it'll kick in. So FSD isn't affected by that at all. So I thought that was some really good information. I didn't know about that. I haven't seen many people talk about that. And lastly, I thought it was very cool that he was able to reach out to the early access team and ask them questions and get feedback. I think, in my mind, I didn't really think about this, but it would be pretty cool if with these 2,000 beta testers, if they could have like a call every 2 weeks or a week after release comes out and talk to the Tesla team about what they're seeing. And maybe 2,000 people, it's hard to let people actually talk. So maybe you just put polls out there and see, are you experiencing this? Are you experiencing that? Or, what's your preference to make it more human-like, right? For Cook here, an example would be, it needs to accelerate quicker whenever we're doing a unprotected left-hand turn, right? It needs to commit and go. But anyways, that's a lot of new information that I haven't heard anyone talk about so far.
See if any of this is interpreted as a problem. Nope. Okay, it's getting over in the right lane just fine. Just slow down a hair. Nice and aggressive there. I wouldn't say it too aggressive, but that was smooth. It was a good job. All right, we're gonna have a short period here where FSD is gonna join with the interstate. It does not need to merge into traffic. It actually can stay in this lane, but I believe FSD does switch over here. As you can see there. If you notice, in the display shrinks too. That's just kind of one of the behaviors of Navigator and Autopilot not using the wide screen display that FSD uses. Now as we jump off of this exit, I believe it transitions right back to city streets.
So this wasn't a edge case where FSD 9.1 had an issue with anything. The reason I want to show this clip is just to highlight the fact that there are still separate software stacks that Tesla's using. You have the Autopilot software stack, and then you have the FSD or City Streets, whatever you want to call it, software stack. Elon has alluded to, maybe in version 10 of FSD Beta or 11, that they'll compile these stacks into one, which I think will show a lot of improvement, a lot of smoothness. More so because right now the way it's set up, it's more so two softwares bolted on together rather than purposely, interlinked and built together. I think they will get to that, but right now it makes more sense to take one software, one set of neural nets and iterate on that rather than having to go through iteration of that plus Autopilot, which Autopilot on the highway is essentially perfect, right? So, I mean, nothing's perfect, knock on wood, but for the most part, in comparison to City Street. So it's like anything, right? Let me work on this, and once that's good enough, then I can bring it and, mesh it in with everything else that I know is working well. But I thought that transition from the interface kind of shows us what's actually happening underneath the covers from a software perspective. And it's pretty neat to see that transition happen.
Starting to think about changing lanes, and it didn't. It chickened out, and I wonder if it chickened out because of that car. See, it's thinking about doing it again. It needs to stay in this lane, preferably. I'd rather it not jump out. It went through a whole thought process about thinking about doing it, but once this, okay, and now it's yellow and it's stopping, so it looks like we're going to be the first one on the next cycle. There's a good rendering of an individual here, kind of shown in the camera, and the rendering.
So I wouldn't call that a bad edge case, but I would say if I was driving, or well, I guess if the vehicle is driving, but if I was using FSD Beta, I would not want the vehicle to just try to overtake a vehicle just because it's going a little slower in this instance, right? Maybe on the highway is one thing, but here we're at a traffic stop, traffic light, right? It's, sometimes people are on their phones, sometimes people are playing with their music, sometimes people doze off, they don't see the lights. I don't need the vehicle, going around. I'm not in that much of a rush for anything, okay? And the seconds that'll save me isn't worth the risk reward as far as making a lane change in that type of scenario. Now, maybe in future iterations, yeah, sure, but for right now, I think that's a little aggressive. So again, I don't consider that a flag or anything, but you could tell that the vehicle was thinking about this. Also, great visualization of a pedestrian sitting there on the left. I thought that was pretty cool. You can see him walking on the interface, but again, right, this isn't just video footage being displayed there. This is what the neural nets are thinking, and what they see is actually happening in their surroundings. So pretty impressive.
Transition. All right, let me pay attention here again. Left turn here with a line to follow. It's doing a good job staying in that lane. Nice job there. And now we need to get into this left turn lane. Looks like it's going to do that. All right, now this intersection is a little bit, as a driver, I don't know if you can see everything. They're installing some new street lights, and some of them have cover, some of them are not. There's some red lights that are on. This is a protected left turn scenario with a green arrow, but there's a whole lot of lights up there without being on. I'm just trying to think of how Tesla would even start to plan for handling something like this. Obviously waiting on what the right indication is. It also kind of leads into the conversation about, there's the protected green, and it should proceed normally here, about during power outages, how a Tesla would handle complete out stoplights, which should be handled as four-way stops. All right, continuing, I'm tapping the accelerator a little bit for traffic right on my tail, but I did not disengage it. Needs to get in the right lane. I'm going to go ahead and get in the right lane here. It wasn't putting the blinker on. It's a tight traffic scenario. Okay, so basically it got me all the way to Costco here without getting me into the parking lot in that scenario. But actually, if you look, the mapping wasn't taking me this direction. That's why it wasn't doing it. So that was a little bit of a preference on how I like to enter this parking lot versus how the Tesla was mapping it.
Okay, so here, there's a lot of things I want to talk about on this one. So first of all, we saw that intersection had a lot of construction happening. They were putting up new traffic lights. Some were bagged and covered because they weren't ready to be used. And we saw other ones active. What else did we see? We also, sorry, you can hear my Alexa is disconnecting. Pardon for that. But anyway, so then we see it handle that left-hand turn, just fine, no issues, even though all of that was going on. So then Cook is talking about how, okay, well, I wanted this to take a right, but it didn't. And, at first, his assumption is that the vehicle made a mistake. And so he had to disengage, take over, and get in the right lane. But then he realized that the vehicle, the Tesla, was actually doing the right thing. It's following what's on the map, right? Because he put in a certain navigation, and it just didn't turn where he wanted to. But that's not in congruence with what was projected by Google Maps. So, that really wasn't a disengagement. That was a personal preference on where you want to go and how you want to pull in. So let's finish this clip off, and I'll give you my final thoughts.
Two interventions, both of them were at the beginning and the end, which is kind of the spots where the Tesla's having problems right now on these unprotected lefts and perhaps, some other turns. That last one was a mapping issue, not necessarily a navigation issue.
Okay, so now I know I said at the beginning of this whole video that I really just want to show these edge cases of where FSD is still struggling, and the reason I want to show this last clip is to show, I showed a whole bunch of clips at the beginning of those unprotected left-hand turns and how awful it was really handling those, right? At one point, it wouldn't even do it. Now, at the beginning of this trip, all the way to Costco for him, it had to go through that unprotected left-hand turn. So he had to disengage to make it take the left-hand turn. Okay, so that's one disengagement. From there, he got all the way to Costco with 0 disengagements. This last one, I do not count that. Okay, it was his preference to enter the parking lot that way. So this just kind of puts things a little more, in perspective, right? It was able to get all the way over to Costco with no issues with 1 disengagement. Okay, 1 disengagement at the very beginning, which we've already covered ad nauseum. So you can tell it's definitely improving. And the reason I want to focus on this right now is because we're talking about all of the bad stuff, but let's just keep perspective of this, okay? Perspective is that it had 1 disengagement getting all the way to Costco. We're getting close. We're getting very, very close, and everybody should be excited. This will be happening.
Sometimes it'll get confused. Up here we have like 3 lanes, so it needs to get into the middle lane to go straight and then make a left. So there, okay, great. And we have an unprotected left-hand turn here, and it had enough time. I'm actually kind of surprised it didn't wait, but it did have technically a lot of time.
So that was great to see. This is, I think, Silicon Valley Club founder. I don't know his actual name, but you can see that he had mentioned that this was a turn that, it struggles with sometimes and handle it flawlessly. We've talked about unprotected left-hand turns, flawless. So, good start so far here.
All right, so this is where I need to take over. I'm gonna send that in. Okay, I don't know why it got over there. So definitely one area of improvement right there.
So we're gonna see more of this. If you couldn't tell what happened there, Based on navigation, the vehicle should have gone straight. Instead, the Tesla decided to get into the left lane, which was a turn-only lane. So that obviously was not correct. And so he had to disengage, take over, and get back in the right lane to go straight. You're going to see moving forward that besides the unprotected left-hand turns, another issue that seems to be happening is a conflict between what Maps is saying to do and what the Tesla wants to do. Right? Sometimes Maps is incorrect. Sometimes the Tesla, in this case, the Tesla was incorrect. But so how do you correct for that? Right? That's gonna be a big one, because the Tesla at the end of the day needs to be able to understand, yes, the map is a guide, but it's not the absolute. And so I need to make sure that I'm aware of what is correct at the end of the day. And so I guess at the end of the day, if all else fails, the correct input should be the FSD input, not the Google Maps input, right? And I mean, I think that's just that's a hard one to figure out. Again, I hope they talk more about this during Tesla AI Day, which, by the way, I haven't mentioned it. I should have. I believe that's August 19th that's happening. It's a Thursday. We'll talk more about that towards the end of this video. There's some tweets from Elon that I want to take a look at that are very interesting. So make sure you stick to the end. I know we're already probably about 40 minutes into this video, but stick to the end because there's some very cool tweets from Elon that I want to look at towards the end of this that could have big implications with Tesla in the future.
Yes. So that they were kind of peeking out, but they didn't. So probably an area that it could have. So let me send that in.
Okay, so I disagree with this disengagement. I think the Tesla did exactly what it should have done. People peeked out, they looked, they saw that there's a car coming, and the Tesla still had the right of way. Now, if they decide to go out into the street, yes, okay, then the Tesla should stop. But the Tesla shouldn't just always stop because people are going to walk through, especially if they just poke their heads out. So I actually think the Tesla would have reacted exactly how it should in this scenario. But again, I'm not the driver. I'm not even backseat driver, right? I'm like, orders of magnitude removed from the situation, really understanding it by being in the car. But still, that did not seem like it needed to be a disengagement from my perspective.
See, is another one of those areas where it needs to be moving over. Okay. So I'm gonna have to disengage here, which kind of sucks because it's in the wrong lane. Okay, and I'm gonna go make the right turn, unfortunately, myself, and then re-engage. Let's go over here.
And again, we see a conflict between what the Maps is saying it should do and what the Tesla is doing. It's in the wrong lane. It should be making a right, but for some reason it's not. Again, I don't know how to think about this one. This could either be a very big problem or a very minor, very easy to fix. Obviously, something I think has tweaked in, the more I think about it, 9.1 must have been tweaked in some way that this is all of a sudden a issue. Because I hadn't seen this at all in the 9.0 beta or 8.2 or any of the 8 series. I never really saw this. Now, it could be that it did this and no one just recorded it, or I just didn't see it. But this is something that I'm seeing that's fairly new with 9.1. But keep me honest. Let me know below in the comments if you've seen this before in any other videos before the 9.1 release.
All right, so let's see. It's kind of going in the middle there. Okay, so let's see how it deals with this unprotected left turn. It's going out, and it's doing it well. So that's great. Okay, let's move over. Handled that. That was interesting. Okay, so it went around it, handled it a little bit close. Again, I ride it a little bit close. So
So first of all, it did the unprotected left-hand turn flawlessly, so that's great. But then there was a, I don't know, maybe a tow truck or some type of vehicle there with, caution lights on, indicating it's not moving. And the Tesla decided to go around it, saw that there was room, clear, no oncoming cars, but it went very wide. And then right as it got in front of the truck and it was halfway in its correct lane, halfway out, it kind of stops, right? There was no flow to it. There's no smoothness to it. So did it work? Yes. Did it do it correctly? Yes. But that's something that needs to be smoothed out. Like a lot of times I see these videos and people talk about how, oh, it wasn't that smooth, or oh, it should be braking a little more or a little less. Honestly, a lot of that stuff I kind of disregard. Like, who cares? I don't care if you're not slowing down soon enough or fast enough. Like, that doesn't matter. I want to know, are you going from point A to point B or not? However, in a situation like that, where I'm half in another lane I'm not supposed to be in just to get around the vehicle, that has to be smooth in my opinion, right? That could be a very serious hazard, right? And to me, those are the things that these edge cases are so important for. These edge cases are paramount. This is why when you look at companies like Waymo or Cruise, or I would even say Comma AI, I know there's a new video out there with Dave Lee. I know Comic-Con just happened with the Comma 3 just got released, but I would even say that they need more data, right? It's not just about how would a human drive. I really think that there's more information about, what do you do in a certain situation? And humans don't always have the right answer, okay? Humans make a lot of mistakes. So this is something I would like to see smoothed out. For this one, I just thought it was great to see that the Tesla kind of gave the bikers their space and waited. It knew how to take a right-hand turn, so it didn't rush up. It kind of respected that distance with the bike riders. To me, I thought that was pretty cool.
There you go. All right, now we are going to go do the roundabout again. This time we are in the middle lane. Now it's being really cautious. Keep going. I mean, we've got a lot of space. All right. So I took the outer lane because it knows we're going to exit soon. Well, that was weird. It exited earlier than it should have. Okay, so let's hit the snapshot. And that is a 226. We're going to report a failure to complete its roundabout. It was a lot emptier roundabout too when it did that, so that's kind of strange.
So again, we see here that the mapping is telling it to go one way, but the Tesla decided to not go that way, right? It should have actually gone the next exit out of the roundabout versus the exit it went out on. Now, as far as the roundabout and the beginning of it, I don't hate that the Tesla, I don't want to say yielded, but kind of slowed down a little bit before going into the roundabout. Would I have done that? I don't know. I have a roundabout that I live by. I don't think I would have. Maybe I would have a little bit if I couldn't see, but either way, it still seemed like a very smooth transition to me. What's more problematic though is that, again, we see with the map that it's not actually doing what the map says it should do. And in this case, the map is correct. Not saying the map is always right. Right? A lot of times the maps are wrong, especially when it talks about going into parking lots. But in this case, it was correct, and the Tesla needs to understand that the map is correct in this case, and that what it's trying to do is wrong. So that is definitely a very consistent theme that we see here with 9.1.
Probably not going to make this light. Kind of hoping it doesn't try it. It's going to... Yeah, see, okay. Needs to get... Okay, this is where I'm going to intervene because we're going to block traffic otherwise. And just turn that on. Okay, so I'm not going to try for a zero disengagement drive on this video.
So for this driver, I apologize, I don't remember his name, but in the video he made, he was going on a hike with his dog, I believe, and the entire drive there, it was 0 disengagements with 9.1, so that's excellent. But here you can see already there's disengagement because of where the Tesla's choosing to stop in the road. So clearly there aren't great line markings here, and so a lot of times you have the situation where you pull up into a traffic light and you leave a little bit of room on the right so that people can go ahead and make a right, even if you're taking a left or you're going straight. And so I've seen, even with 9.0, this isn't just a 9.1 thing, that sometimes the Tesla struggles to understand that perception of where I should be in relation to, into the street without any lanes. So that's a very small edge case, but again, you can see here in the user interface that now there's room for a vehicle to come to the right of it. Again, this is why edge cases are so important, but I don't think this is that big of a deal. I think this is something that's easily learned by the neural nets.
But that definitely needs improvement. That's actually worse from the previous 8.2. Version 9 did that as well. Couldn't do its thing. It's going a little bit slow. Oh, okay. Definitely was going straight there. It's funny, this drive is doing markedly worse than the previous one, so we'll see how this works. Going through, we have a traffic circle coming up. See how that works.
So that was kind of a jackknife turn. Kim Parkett did one not too long ago in Rhode Island, and I think she did it like 3 or 4 times. 3 times she didn't really have confidence in it. The 4th time she did, and she just let it do it, and it worked fine. It'd be interesting to see what would have happened here, but again, it did seem like the vehicle was just going to go straight and wasn't going to make the turn. I wouldn't have risked my car doing that, so I don't blame him for not just trusting it and pushing the limit and seeing where it go. It's definitely a risk reward concept here, but it's not at a point where a human would trust it, right? So even if it would have made it, it wouldn't have been elegant and smooth and efficient to a point where you trust it. So that needs work.
Now it's slowing down good. I think the first version, far too hard to brake. Far too hard to brake. Okay. Made that good. Still a little bit hesitant, I'd say, but still made it great.
So I don't know. Obviously, when you're in a vehicle and a vehicle brakes, you feel it, right? And that might be what he's referring to as far as way too hard. But again, I don't hate that the vehicle is slowing down before the roundabout. I'm thinking more about it. As I come up to a roundabout, I do think I slow down. It's like going for a turn. When you turn, you naturally slow down. So I'm okay with that. Maybe he's talking about the rate of that slowdown was the problem, right? A little too aggressive. But we saw that it just kind of rolled right into the roundabout and got off in the correct exit. So I thought overall that was very promising.
See how it gets into this turn lane here. That's actually doing a good job. A little bit hesitant, obviously, with that car there, but it turned off the blinker. I'm going to turn the blinker back on. It wants... Okay, it's waiting for cross traffic. It needs to wait for this truck to go. And then after this truck goes, it can start going. So right now, actually... no, the car's coming too quickly. If it was me, I probably would have gunned it and went. But for a self-driving car, I don't think for a passenger, you want that to happen. Right now, I'm making it go. And it made it. Oh, whoa. What did it do there? Okay. No. It tried to go around the car through the parking lot.
So, a couple things. With that turn, I do think the Tesla should have gone sooner. He mentioned, could have gunned it, but I think there's more than enough time without having to gun the vehicle. That could have easily been done. I think this just goes back to that acceleration velocity question with the velocity of vehicles coming on and the acceleration that Tesla needs to have in order to overcome the velocity, or that rate of time traveled that the oncoming traffic is going through. And then it handles that turn fine, but then all of a sudden we have these weird jerky moments. Not really sure what that's about. That is definitely proof that this is still beta, right? This is not complete. Even though he had a zero disengagement drive all the way down to go hiking, right, which was, I think, over an hour-long drive, this is still clearly beta. There's still a lot of work to be done here. Okay, let's continue.
Like that, holy crap. It's like, this car stopped in front of us, I don't care, I'm just gonna go around it on the opposite side of the road. So that's, for me, I don't think it ever did that on 9 for me. It did it once actually, on the first drive I did. I just didn't record that. It doesn't need the blinker here. Oh, wow. D again. His ability to read. Again. Okay. I'm gonna make this turn myself. That was not good. Again, my biggest issue, by far. I'm gonna go right here. So we're just visiting habitat. And so yeah, my biggest issue is that navigation just doesn't line up with the routing. Like, the car doesn't know when to turn based on the map. And it's just like it can drive, but it can't read a map. So that's our biggest issue right now.
Okay, so again, we saw more examples of that random jerk that the Tesla is doing. Not sure what's triggering that. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves with 9.2. But on the bright side, you saw that individual with the green vest on who's blowing the leaves out. The Tesla recognized them, avoided him. So like I said towards the beginning of this video, anything to do with pedestrians, it seems like the Tesla is spot on. It avoids pedestrians, and it's almost as if that is like the primary focus when it comes to the Tesla, is to avoid any humans at all costs. But that jerkiness, that's something that definitely has to be worked on. Okay, so let's end it there as far as watching these videos. Now I want to dive into some tweets from Elon. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so here we have Elon's Twitter. We can see here the tweets and replies. So I'm gonna scroll down just to show a few things. Cool picture of him with his son. Okay, so let's scroll down. Okay, so this one was interesting. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This was the first one that I found interesting. So James Locke talks about how amazing 9.1 was with almost no interventions. And then he asked Elon, I'm assuming the next release is 9.2 in 2 weeks. And Elon says, we are doing releases every 2 weeks on Friday at midnight California time. So that's excellent, because that means that now we know the cycle of what the releases will be, and so we can plan for them, anticipate them. This also potentially shows that they're able to iterate on the releases a lot faster, because they are now fully on Tesla Vision. So this is exciting. I was very happy to see this tweet come out, because I think a lot of us were wondering, like, well, when's the next one? When's gonna be the next one? So, and it also makes me wonder if Dojo is actively working right now, especially leading up to AI Day. And I think the reason I asked that is because it seems like now they're able to iterate a lot faster than they were before. But that could just be, completely based off of that they're on Tesla Vision now and have no radar, in order to kind of give, I guess, a drag on the efficiency of the iterations. So then there's another one I want to look at as well. truth be told, I don't actually remember what it was. I just remember it was interesting. So when I see it, I'll know. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. There's always a lot of cleanup after major code release. Beta 9.2 will be tight. Still some fundamentals to solve for Beta 10, but now we're pure vision. Progress is much faster. Radar was holding us back. So again, I guess this kind of goes to what I was saying before. It kind of confirms it. So maybe they're not using Dojo, but Radar was holding them back. Pure vision's making things a lot faster. But the fact that Elon says 9.2 will be tight, I think what he means is like very efficient, you know, kind of smoothed out all around. It'll be interesting to see. And then Tesla AI predictions are swiftly becoming superhuman. It guesses for what it can see, what it can't see, will feel like ESP. It has a vastly larger training set than any human and thinks only about driving. So that was pretty powerful. And I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, so that's all I want to show as far as the tweets go. So cool. Well, we're gonna go ahead and leave it there. I know this was a long video, but hopefully you guys can understand that I essentially took, you know, 6 to 8 hours and condensed it down into this video, trying to show you some of the highlights and trying to explain some of the things that are going on with my engineering background. Again, for those of you guys who don't know, my background is essentially as a mechanical electrical engineer, and now I'm a software engineer that designs data centers. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we talk about here is actually really much in my wheelhouse of competency. So I can relate and, you know, I understand it, you know, fairly well, I like to think. But, you know, if not, it's just another person giving their point of view, and, you know, hopefully it helps guide you and helps your understanding of what Tesla is doing when it comes to FSD. Okay, so we're gonna leave it there. Like I said, do me a favor, if you enjoy this type of content, if you appreciate the effort we put into these videos, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and I'll catch you guys next time in the next video, which will come out hopefully on Wednesday. My attempt is to release videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if that's a schedule that, you know, you guys think is good and you would like to see more content like this, please leave a comment down below. All right, I love you guys all. Thank you for making it to the end, and I'll catch you guys later.